Hello everybody and welcome to Tiger Tales The Lost Stories, a place you'll find stories and fanfictions in the first person point of view, written and read to you by your host, me, Tiger. Today we're diving into a brand new storyline. Of course, this does revolve around Power Rangers, but it isn't Power Rangers to the extent you're thinking of. In this brand new universe, there will be no Power Rangers as characters, but we're going to explore the mass world of Power Rangers and the lore that it sets. Particularly, in this one, we explore the Jungle Fury Academies, the animal spirits and the such, the lore that it gives us with the Order of the Claw, and things like that. So, let's dive in with our brand new storyline.
Hello and welcome to Power Rangers Universe 217H, a universe full of stories and tales for you to dive into. But these tales are not about the Power Rangers. No, it's about the world that surrounds, fuels, and fights the Rangers. Here we can explore the Ninja Academies, the Order of the Claw, mutants, Animarium warriors, and prisoners of SPD, and many more. This universe explores the unexplored. So strap in, and let's dive into Power Rangers Universe 217H.
The Order of the Claw. Chapter 1. The Test. Part 1. I woke up feeling nervous. It was August the 8th, and I was supposed to get my claw mark today. In a few hours, anyway. Then I'd be a master of Pai Shui. I'd spent the last 7 years training day in and day out relentlessly. I was the top of my class in almost every single way, other than the odd other person who had the same motivational drive as me. I got dressed in my academy robes and I ventured out into my dorm, and I walked out into the training gardens and found my two best friends training. The girl with short, half black, half purple hair was Willow, and her sparring partner was Buddy, a boy with blonde hair. I walked up to them, and they stopped throwing jabs at each other to approach me. "Hey guys," I called out. "Hey Mikhail," Buddy grinned. We both bumped fists. "You nervous?" Willow asked me. "Hell no," I muttered. The truth was, I was extremely nervous. Willow and Buddy were extremely good, and I know for a fact they both had a striking chance of getting their claw mark. I was doubting my own abilities. My name was Mikhail, and I had the spirit of the wolf, which usually would make their users lonely and singled out, but I loved hanging out with my friends. "Hey man, you'll do great. You're one of the best around here," Buddy grinned, punching me gently in the shoulder. "I'm going to give it my best shot," I nodded. Then Master Theo walked up to us. "Hello, Master," Willow said with a bow. Me and Buddy also bowed. "Good morning, students. I hope you're ready for your test today," Master Theo asked us. "Yes, sir," Buddy nodded. "Sure," I shrugged. "You are uncertain?" Master Theo asked. I don't know how I feel," I admitted. "You will be fine. I know it. Trust in yourself. Trust in your animal spirit, and, most of all, trust in your ability," Master Theo replied. I nodded. Then Master Theo gestured all of us to follow him to the combat square. That is where we trained and where the mastery exam was being held. All the students got to watch the exam. We had to take on a chosen fighter. This year, everyone who beat the opponent would get their claw mark and become a master. Everyone, welcome to this year's mastery exam. Today, 4 students take on the master. Whoever beats our champion master will receive their claw mark and join us, Master Theo called out, showing off his claw mark on his arm. The cheering students all fell silent as the master champion walked out. A young man, we all recognized him. He became a master a couple years ago. His name was Jared Jr., but went for JJ for short. He stood there tall, stern, and ready to fight. "Welcome JJ to the training ground," Master Theo called out. Everyone once again erupted into cheer. "And our first student is Buddy," Master Theo called out, and Buddy ran into the training field. Buddy stood there before JJ. They both bowed and both dropped into their fighting stances. "And begin," Master Theo announced. Buddy threw the first jab at JJ, but he swatted the attack away. I stood there nervous and my palms became sweaty watching him fight. Buddy jumped up and threw his foot out, and the kicks were blocked. Then as Buddy's feet landed on the ground, JJ threw out his first strike, hitting Buddy in the shoulder, making him stagger backwards. Then JJ threw a powerful kick, hitting him in the stomach, knocking the wind out of Buddy. "Come on, man," I muttered. Buddy straightened up his stance and then threw out several jabs forward. JJ blocked each one, then he dropped down and swept his leg, but Buddy jumped up and over the trip attack. JJ threw out a punch and Buddy caught his wrist and pulled JJ in closer, punching him in the face. Then he slammed his hand in the chest, then he kneed him in the stomach, then wrapped his arm around JJ's head and pulled him over his shoulder as JJ's body slammed onto the ground. Everyone gasped. Buddy took several steps away, allowing JJ to stand up. Then JJ entered a swift moving set of body movements, his body rippling with spiritual energy. Green and gold energy started off of him as he built up the spiritual pressure. Then he slammed his clenched fist into his palm, then threw out his fist, and the golden green energy formed into the spirit of the hyena. The actual animal looked like the Power Ranger Zords, which was always odd to me. The hyena spirit ran at Buddy. Buddy flipped backwards and quickly followed suit, swerving into a set of movements, the black and white spirit energy forming off of him. Then he threw his hands out and the panda spirit exploded and collided into the hyena spirit. Both spirits started swiping their claws and snapping their jaws as both JJ and Buddy started throwing fists and kicks, influencing the spirit's attacks. The hyena spirit tried to jump onto the panda spirit, but the panda spirit used his almighty strength to slam the hyena spirit down. Then the panda spirit dropped his paw onto the spirit of the hyena. The hyena spirit dispersed into energy. JJ staggered back. The panda spirit phased away. Buddy bolted as fast as he could. He jumped up, threw a fist, and hit JJ in the face, knocking him down to the ground. JJ stood slowly, taken aback by the sheer strength of the punch. JJ stood tall and bowed before Buddy, signifying his defeat. Everyone cheered, and Buddy sighed a heavy breath with relief. Then JJ shook his hand. "And our first match goes to Buddy. Who will go through the ceremony tonight?" Master Theo called out. I could have sworn I saw a grin on Master Theo's face.
Hey Usopp, what you listening to?
Huh? Oh, this? It's the Author's Crown YouTube channel.
Oh man, that sounds cool. Is he a pirate like us?
No, he's a writer who makes up cool crossover stories we never knew we needed.
Oh, really? What kind of stuff does he cross over?
He crosses over stuff like Power Rangers and Friday the 13th. That one is kind of scary, but still really good.
Whoa, that sounds amazing. Where can I listen to this guy at?
You can find the Author's Crown on YouTube. Just search for his channel and dive into those awesome crossover stories.
Check out Author's Crown on YouTube for incredible crossover stories that will blow your mind. Don't miss out on all the fun. Subscribe now.
Buddy had rejoined us. JJ had taken a few minutes to straighten himself up, and now it was time for our second fight. Master Theo walked into the middle of the training field once again. "Our second opponent is Willow," Master Theo called out. The crowd cheered and I nodded at Willow. She returned the nod, and then she entered the center of the field, standing before JJ. They both bowed, then dropped into their fighting stances, and then once Master Theo called for the fight to begin, JJ threw the first kick. Willow pushed the kick down with both hands, then JJ threw several jabs. Willow took several steps back, managing to block each strike. I saw what JJ was doing. Willow was smarter than us boys, so JJ thought he could overpower her in stamina and speed. Funny thing was, Willow was not just any girl, but the top female student in the whole academy. JJ rolled forward and threw a midsection punch, but Willow caught his fist, jumped forward, and kneed him in the face. As JJ fell down onto his back, he managed to grab Willow and pulled her with him. He used his legs to throw Willow over himself as she slammed onto the ground. Both of them jumped to their feet. JJ spun around quickly, slamming his leg into Willow. She tried to catch the kick, but the pure velocity of the strike made Willow stagger. She managed to catch herself, and she backflipped away. Several flips later, she landed and dropped down into her stance. She then started moving and her energy started rippling off of her. The spiritual energy was pink. Then she threw out her hands and the built-up energy turned into the spirit of the owl. The oversized owl Zord-looking spirit flew at JJ. He ran and slid under the owl spirit and jumped up to his feet and slammed his palm into Willow's stomach, knocking the wind out of her. She slammed his fist into her chest, face, and then slammed both of his fists into her back, making her drop to the ground. She cried grunted in pain as she climbed to her feet. Then she looked at me, our eyes locked. I nodded slowly, and she nodded back. Then she climbed to her feet. JJ still stood inches beside her. Willow closed her eyes and took a deep breath. JJ threw a punch. Even with her eyes closed, Willow caught it. Then she pulled him in, elbowed him in the throat, then swung her foot back, tripping him up, his body slamming on the ground. Then she slammed her fist into his chest, his face, and then his legs several times. She rolled backwards and stood up. As JJ stood and bowed, he signified his defeat. Everyone cheered, and Master Theo walked up to her. Now we have our second master. Again, she shall granted her mark later tonight, Master Theo barked. Willow rejoined us, and she hugged me and Buddy. Well done, Gary, you did great, I told her. Thanks, Willow said with a sigh of disbelief. She looked genuinely shocked. JJ once again took several minutes to take a breather, then he returned, and Master Theo walked out, then realised who was the other two students. It took me a minute to realise who the other student was. So far we've had 2 amazing fights, and our masters will get their marks later, so now we have 2 more to go. Next up we have Elliot, Master Theo called out. Elliot wormed his way out of the crowd. Elliot was a loner. He kept himself to himself. We did try to befriend him when the academy started, but our efforts always fell short in the connection department. Elliot walked up to JJ, they both bowed and dropped into their fighting stances. Elliot was raised by the late Master Fant, and he even had the same animal spirit. I knew JJ was good. I didn't think he would stand a chance against Elliot. Elliot stamped his foot on the ground and threw a heavy fist. The pure weight of his attack made JJ slide backwards, even though he blocked it. Then Elliot jumped up and swung his leg down, and the pure heavy weight of it smacked JJ in the ground. JJ tried to stand, but Elliot swung his foot into JJ, sending him bouncing off the ground, skimming across the battlefield like a rock skims across water. JJ stood slowly. Elliot slammed both feet on the ground as heavy as he could, keeping his stance wide. Then the green energy started rippling off of him. He threw his hands out, and the spur of the elephant trumpeted to life and ran at JJ. It swung its trunk and smacked JJ. He went flying back, and then the elephant ran over and raised both its front feet and dropped the energy of spiritual pressure onto JJ. He was crushed into the floor. JJ struggled to climb to his feet. He was generally taken by surprise by the pain and ability of Elliot. Master Theo ran into the middle of the battlefield. Elliot wins! Master Theo called out before anything else could happen. Everyone cheered and clapped as the elephant spirit diminished, and the fight was heavy hitting and very quick. JJ staggered away, and it was almost 2 hours till he came back for my fight.
Let me know if that works for you. Thanks!
This podcast is a production of the Three Ranger Bros Studios, in association with Zio to Hero, the podcast.
Thank you very much for listening to this story. There are of course plenty more where that came from, on this specific channel and on other Tiger channels as well. There are plenty more Tiger Tales channels for you guys to find and explore, with all sorts of storylines, fan fictions to dive into. A huge shout out to the following: Cosplay Dude 637, my Parabatai, and Mark the Red Cornish Ranger. The 3 of us are the 3 Ranger Bros. Then of course we have our partners, A Crown, and Cosplay Sun 637, also known as Xander. Of course, a huge shout out to the Zio to Hero podcast, and of course, If You Give a Dad a podcast. If you want to find out more about these people, make sure you check out our website, the3rangerbrosstudios.com. That being said, make sure you check out the Tiger Nexus podcast, my own podcast where I interview people, content creators and geeks alike. Sometimes those 2 things intertwine. Now of course, a list of the other Tiger Tales channels can be found on the website, and also some of the channels are down below in the description. Make sure you go give them a listen to, because there's more where that came from. Storytime with Cosplay Dude 637 also returns on a lot of the Tiger Tales channels, including the original Tiger Tales. So make sure you check out his stories as well. I have plenty more content where that came from. I do gaming, reactions, I geek out about stuff, I show off my collectibles, my artwork, and a lot more. Again, some of these links will be in the description down below. If not, you can go check out the website, or check out the TikTok at TiTiger777, where I talk about a lot about my other content. Of course, that being said, I love you all. Make sure you hit that like button, you subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss more stories coming to you from myself and the partners of the channel. We're of passion, everybody, and I shall see you guys real soon.
That before we can...
Don't touch my Pringles.
Bye!